why. Let me talk about the current jail. The current jail was built in 1987. It opened in 87, and it was designed to hold 68 inmates. So when they moved the inmates over from the old jail, we moved over 68 inmates. So kind of, we built the jail, built big enough for the people we put in it. Since then, we double bunked everything. Probably within 2 years, we double bunked all the cells that we possibly could, and we expanded it to 107. Now, the infrastructure in this current facility was designed for 68 inmates. We now house 107 inmates. So what do? How do we deal with the problem? Because we're letting a lot of people out of jail that really don't need to be let out of jail. Typically, on a given day, it's 1 for 1. If one is arrested, one is released. Today, we're actually fairly low in population, and it's not that way, except for our female population. We had, I think, 3 females come in. 2 of the 3 are getting out because I only got 1 bed. So, and probably all 3 of them need to see in jail. So, what have we done? I mean, we've done a lot. I mean, we've really tried to avoid what we're doing right now and tax our citizens. We went after this grant under ABE, SB.
263, 863,
No.
sorry. AB 900.
AB 900.
Yeah.
I got these numbers in my head. AB 900, phase 2. So when we initially applied, we were rejected. We did not get, we were out of 5 counties, we were number 6. Shasta County turned their money back, and then we got awarded a partial funding of $24 million. And our initial design was for a 180-bed facility because we did a needs assessment. We hired a company to come out and said, hey, what is our need? We'll project out based on crime rates, based on statistics. What are we going to need up to, I think, 2022 is what they projected. And what they projected in 2022, we're going to need about a 300-bed facility. So we went 180 beds, and we got this initial, that's what we applied for. So when we got partial funding, we were allowed to change our scope. So because the money wasn't going to be enough to pay for the 180 bed that we asked for. So we got to change our scope down to 150 bed. The state allowed us to do that. So when we did that, we started the process all over again. It delayed the project even longer, and we started the, well then in the meantime, Amador County turned down their money under AB 900 phase 1, which the state then fully funded our project. So then we started all over again. Went back to that 180 bed facility that we were initially designed, and
Because we had to.
yeah,
Because
the state,
when you get the full money, then you have to do
You have to go back to
You didn't
the-
have an option to go back to the 150 or anything like that. You had to go to the 180 per the state rules.
So we did that, and we started the process all over again, and these delays just allowed these construction costs to escalate. The time. It caused construction costs to go up. In the meantime, we're trying to figure out how do we do this. We got to figure out how to deal with this gap. We got to figure out how do we build this jail. So we applied. We applied for a grant called SB 863, and a lot of that grant was really geared towards rehabilitation, and that's the way we wrote it. We try to figure out, okay, how can we rehabilitate? How can we come up with programs that are going to allow the population that we're dealing with to get help and teach them these job skills, teach them these things so that they can be productive. I went down there and I listened to the grading that the state did, and I truly believe they changed the rules because there was more weight given to counties that needed jail beds than there was that really was developing programs for this population. So we didn't get selected. So here we are, we're $10 million short. We've exhausted every effort that we possibly can do to build this jail. And we went after a half-cent sales tax last June to complete this project. It was a special tax, required 66 2/3, and it failed by, I think we got 49.2.
49 and some change.
Yeah, I think we got 49 and some change. So what's the difference between that one and this one? Well, this one we're asking is only a quarter cent because we found out kind of during this whole process that a quarter cent will pay back a loan that we need to get to pay for this jail. And we're going after a general tax, which means the money goes into the general fund of the county, and the Board of Supervisors control that money. And they've indicated on a 5-0 vote that their intent is to use it for a loan paid back of the jail. So that's kind of where we're at the big picture. We've exhausted, like I said, we're letting a lot of people out of jail on a daily basis. We're trying to come up with rehabilitation. That's why I brought Allison, Sergeant Gianini here, so that she could explain really the things that we're trying to do and to help this population. But right now, there's just no accountability for this population. You know, if we release somebody from jail and they fail, they come back to jail. If I have a bed, great. If I don't have a bed, they get released, and there's no accountability. And that's just not a good system to really rehabilitate these, because some of these people don't care. And there's a lot of people that really belong in jail. And it's tough when my staff, my program staff, probation officer, having to make these tough decisions on who gets out of jail. And, you know, a story that Allison told us was, you know, which child molester do we let out? I mean, her and a probation officer, we need a bed. Which one do we let out? That is just horrible. If we let the wrong one out and they victimize somebody that our staff is having to deal with. You know, and our current jail was designed to house a misdemeanor population that we don't house no more. We house violent felonies. You know, I got a call the other day from a guy, and he said, how many marijuana people for marijuana cultivation are in jail? There's none. I have violent felons in jail. That's what I have. My marijuana people, they're going to spend a day in jail. They just don't do it. There's just no room for those type of crimes. They're violent felons that are in jail. When I started in 1993, we had I'm going to use a lot of acronyms, so I'll try to spell it out. We have a PC unit, which is a protective custody unit, which is my population, my rapists, my child molesters, my individuals who I can't put in the general population because they'll get hurt, or their crime is so horrific that I can't put them in that general population. We have 4 beds dedicated to those individuals. Today, it's a quarter of my population. So of their 100, it's about 25. And they're all door units. I can't even lock them down. So if I got a violent one, I got to find a bed that I can lock him down and segregate him away from the general population, which I got 4 of those. So in this jail, our intent is we want to design it to where we're not going to grow out of it like this one. You know, I've heard comments, well, it's too big. Well, I don't think it's too big. There's no point in building. They said let's build a 120 bed facility. Why would I build a jail that I got 120 individuals that I can put in right now? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I'd rather build a 180 bed facility and only use 120 beds and still rehabilitate, because we're not going to stop what we're doing. We're going to continue to rehabilitate this population. We're going to continue to, we're trying to get a partnership with the college and offer programs and college classes to the inmate population. We're trying to do these things to help this population, but you know, I've been doing this for 26 years now, 25 years, and the ones that want help really are successful. The ones that we make do it really aren't successful. They have to have an incentive, and that's what we're trying to do. I could talk all day, so I'd rather answer questions. So,
Great.
did I forget anything?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jeff.